since I'm remote with kind of a limited, like I can't even turn my camera on for some reason. I'm gonna ask someone else to help me lead through the agenda, but I'll at least do a roll call. Jenny, I see that you're here.
Yes.
Bella, you're here now. And Freddie, I see is online. And Kat.
Yes.
Great. So I believe our first item of business is to review the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So did anyone have any corrections? Jenny, I saw that you asked about the spelling for Isabel Kerber, and I believe it's Kerber.
K-E, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an easy thing to fix.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
Joyce, if you don't have a camera, because I never do, sometimes what I do is I go on my phone and I go to the agenda and I make a screenshot and then I have it right in my hand.
Oh,
Saying
okay.
you needed help, and that's, I mean, we can help you with the agenda, but that's a helpful trick.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like with the hotspot, I can't have too many devices downloading things, or I'll get all choppy, but I'll see if I can do that with my phone.
Okay, never mind. I didn't know you had trouble. Hotspot.
No, it's fine. I am going to try it. Any other comments on the agenda? I mean, the minutes for correction? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
I think you need to name the date.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 22nd meeting of Stewardship Committee.
Second.
All in favor? Jenny?
In favor?
Bella?
In favor.
Freddie?
In favor.
Kat?
Yes, in favor.
And I'm also in favor. The motion passes. And I believe the second item on the agenda was the scout.
Yes, and Nathan is in the waiting room, so I'm going to promote him to panelist.
Thank you.
Should be coming over any minute now. Hello, Nathan. Are you there?
Nathan, hi. Nathaniel, hi. It's Joyce. So Nathaniel asked to update us.
We can hear you now.
Why?
We can hear. Oh, your video. Yeah.
I can't hear anything.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to type.
I got it. I can hear now.
Okay.
You can hear us, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Great. So Nathaniel reached out with some wanted to update us on the bird box installation, and also talk about a sign that he has. So why don't I leave it to you, Nathaniel, to lead us through what you want to talk about.
All right. So the bird boxes are planned to go up this Saturday, and we need to donate one to you guys as an extra, because we can't, the one way in the back part it doesn't need to be replaced at the moment, so we're replacing 5 bird boxes on the property. And as for the sign, my mom felt that I might want a sign for the trails to go up. I have the sign right next to me if you guys want to see it.
Yes, please.
So this is the sign, what it looks like. It's designed to go on the bottom horizontal of the signboard, or the top one, whatever you guys might prefer. So just
And Nathaniel, is that etched into the wood? Like
it is,
router?
yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
It's routed in.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? That's all that I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Nathaniel? I guess while you're on, I'd just like to acknowledge that the kiosk looks terrific, and we're excited about seeing the bird boxes get replaced, and appreciate the additional one and the time that you spent with some of us earlier this summer assessing each of the posts and boxes so that we could make some smart determinations about where to put them. So thank you for all that. I'm sorry I'm not on camera, but I can't get my video to work. Is there any concerns that any of the stewards have about the sign for the kiosk?
I don't have a concern, but my preference is to have the sign go on top of the kiosk. As long as you can see it, I'm pretty sure it would work that way. Like if you're standing back, it would be positioned so that you could see it underneath the roof. I don't know exactly how far down the roof goes, so if it were
the roof is about even with the top of the top horizontal, so it should work pretty well.
is the width or the height, the width of the board, the height of the board, would it fit there? Have you done a visual of like, would it work on the board without encroaching upon the space of the board? Does that make sense? Would it go along the
It
top?
should, yeah.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on top or bottom?
I think top is good.
I would agree. I think top is good. It'll like direct the reader's attention right to the top of the sign. It looks great, by the way. Thank you, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Can I suggest that to really know, you're planning to put this up this Saturday?
No, not
Okay.
necessarily.
Then there's time for stewards to go and take a look to make sure that what we think it will look like is what it will look like, so that it has the best possible visibility for the great work you've done.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to decide. I think we can say we prefer the top unless we decide that it doesn't fit.
Nathaniel, would you mind sending the width measurement and the height of the board itself so we can do a mock-up and kind of play around with placement?
I was thinking we would do it in person. I mean, are you going to be out there with the
that
bird
could work.
nest?
In person could work.
Yeah, do you know what time you'll be there for the bird boxes? Because I could actually maybe come out for that and we could just take a look.
Take a picture.
Yeah. So I'm going to be at the conservation lands working on the bird boxes at 10:30 to noon this Saturday. So that's when I will be there working my stuff.
Can you
So
bring the sign at 10:30 and somebody could meet you there right at the beginning and you could hold it up and we'll take a picture?
Yeah,
For
I'll
those
make
that
sure to
can't be
bring the
there.
ladder.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, mock-ups
Thank
are
you.
great, but real life with a scout in it's even better.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so hopefully I will see you there at 10:30 on Saturday. as I'm flying back to Massachusetts tomorrow. I should be there. And any other comments or questions for Nathaniel?
When do we
Thank
say
you so much for all your hard work and, coming to our meetings multiple times to, keep us informed.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if there's
All right,
nothing
I'll see
else, I have other school things that I need to attend to. So is it okay if I log off if there's nothing else?
Sure is.
I have one question. Do you need signature on your Eagle Scout workbook from Joyce or any kind of closing letter from the committee that things are all wrapped up?
Not at the moment. If I do need it in the future, I'll reach out. But at the moment, I don't.
Great.
All right then. Thanks, Nathaniel. I'll see you Saturday.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
And I see that Freddie, I was able to call up the agenda on my phone way easier than I thought I'd be able to. So yay. Yay for my hotspot that's serving me well. The next item is the spotted blue salamander for state salamander. So is Simona going to talk to us about that?
Just promoting.
Yes, and I'm going to disappear for a little bit. And I think Kat agreed to take notes.
Yes.
Thank
I'm gonna be
you.
looking at another screen, so I'm paying attention just on another computer. Hi, Simona.
Hi.
Hi, Simona.
Hi.
Do you want to talk to us about the salamander?
Mm-hmm.
You can go ahead.
My name is Simona and I'm in 3rd grade at Woodward. I really love salamanders because since I was little, I've been helping my family look for salamanders to help them cross the road, lay their eggs so they don't get hit by cars. At the end of last school year, me and my mom looked up if we had a state amphibian and we found out we don't. I'd really like if a salamander was the state amphibian because some salamanders are endangered and threatened. And state animals get a lot of attention and care, so it'd be a lot better for salamanders. I think the blue spot salamander would be a great candidate for state amphibian because it is state threatened, so it needs help. The blue spot salamander is pretty. You'd be the first state to have the blue spot salamander for a state amphibian. It is rare, so it'd be fun for families to go out looking for them, but you can't touch them. Vernal pools are an important part of our environment. If we bring attention to blue spot salamanders, we would be helping all the animals and amphibians that need vernal pools to complete their life cycle. Last month, we found out that some high school kids in Andover, coincidentally, were trying to make the same species the same amphibian. The representative introduced a bill to make the blue spotted salamander the official state amphibian in Massachusetts. H.4189 is co-sponsored by 10 representatives, including Representative Dykema, and it has moved to the Joint Committee on State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. A bill was also introduced in the Senate. I also talked to Senator Eldridge, and he has recently signed on as a co-sponsor. I've been talking to lots of environmental organizations and to lots of kids, like from my school and my Cub Scout pack. The kids have been making drawings of blue spotted salamanders, and a few have written letters to show their support. We have also gotten letters of support from the Vernal Pool Association, Southborough Conservation Commission, and Mystic River Watershed Association. I'm asking you to vote to send a letter supporting this bill. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Simona.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned a lot about the salamander. Do any of the stewards have questions for Simona?
No questions, but I think this is a great initiative, and I'm really glad that you brought it to the committee, and I'm happy to support it.
Yeah, can we have a motion about the support and the letter?
I'd like to make a motion that we support Simona's initiative to have the the blue spotted salamander become the state amphibian, and to write a letter to the appropriate parties in state government that we can find from her letters. Can you hold on a minute? I need to mute.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Oh,
I'll record it as Bella seconded.
okay. Thank you,
All
Simona.
in
This is a great project. I'm sorry for interrupting, Joyce, but it's great.
Oh, it is great. Let's see, all in favor, Jenny,
Jenny's abstaining.
Jenny says, yeah, she's
okay, so Bella,
Yes.
Kat,
yes.
Freddie,
Yes.
and I also support this, so the motion passes. So Simona, we will be writing one or more letters to the appropriate parties in support of your goal to have the spotted blue.
The blue
Is
spotted
it blue
salamander.
spotted or
Blue spotted.
Thank you.
blue spotted salamander as our state amphibian?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Can I
Welcome.
can I add on something?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'd like us to write or send a copy of the letter and just give a thank you to our state rep and state senator for sending it, for supporting it. Because
So
It's a great idea.
That's it.
send a thank you. Is that what it is, Freddie?
yes, a thank you, because even though they're already signing on, it is always beneficial for people to hear that their work is appreciated in our behalf, and that their constituents, if that's the right way to say that, appreciate it.
Awesome.
That sounds like a good idea.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job.
All right. Let's see
Good night.
what's next.
Good night, Simona. Okay. Let's see. Jenny,
The
can
next thing, town forest. So I think we have some updates on trail naming and master plan.
Yes. So two things. Let me get I sent myself some notes on this. So I think we can make it, oh, wrong email. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So yes, so let's start with the master plan. So the question that I had raised offline for our discussion in tonight's meeting was the description of the stewardship committees, what they do. That's included in the master plan. The master plan exists for around, about 10 years before a new one is in place. And so what it looks like has happened, which is going to ease our discussion tonight, is they've revised the, I can share my screen. They revised the information that they're putting in the master plan. So they have the charge that's listed on the website. And then further below in a couple of different locations, when they talk about the town forest, they do reference that the stewardship committee, is in charge of maintaining the trails. So my objective was to ensure that the town forest in some way was linked, was one identified in the master plan and not an enigma or an, just a ghost of a piece of property, but that it was also identified as who was, helping to maintain it. So that is listed in the master plan. So as far as our discussion tonight, I don't think we need to vote on changing the language in the master plan, but I would bring it up for perhaps a future discussion. And I know there's some concerns, so I'm happy to hear those, but about including the town forest in the charge of the stewardship, because right now, the way the mission's written, there's no mention of town forest. And so I just think it would help make that clear on the, because it seems to be part of the charge. In the
Well,
sense,
we made it, so it's not.
can it be?
I think we'd have to be a different committee to do that. I believe we're under the
And
conservation.
did some of that come from the Board of Selectmen when they created this committee?
Yep.
In terms of what stewardship was charged with? So wouldn't it have to, would it have to circle back to them anyway?
To be honest, I'm not sure if it was the Conservation Commission or the selectmen. Were appointed by the selectmen.
Oh.
I think we were established under the Conservation Commission,
Mhm.
and you'd have to
Oh,
go
okay.
way back. And, I think if it's not, there's a reason why we were set up to be for the Breakneck Hill Conservation Land. And there's lots of conservation land that doesn't have a stewardship committee in town. And to add something that's,
And since it is reflected in the master plan, which has different authors than stewardship committee, and now it does reflect some mention of town forest, does that lessen the need to change our charge? Is that correct? Is that what I was hearing, Kat?
So it changes the conversation that we have tonight. We can punt the other conversation if we want to take up whether we should change the charge or not to another night if we have, constraints on time. But yeah, so the mission as described on the website is exactly as it is. It's written that way in the master plan. So nothing has been changed from the mission from the website.
Right.
So that's the same. But what I'm saying is a couple, paragraphs down when they talk about trails and they talk about town forest, they do mention that the trails in the town forest are maintained by the stewardship committee. Right. So there's a linkage in that way. And I felt like that satisfied my objective, which was to link the town forest in some way to the stewardship committee, and to just have the town forest mentioned somewhere, because it's it had not traditionally been.
so
So that satisfies that piece. But then
I
my
guess-
bigger, broader question is, can we look at changing the charge of, in whatever way it needs to happen, of the stewardship to include the town forest?
I would suggest, knowing the deep background on this, that's a much bigger conversation. And I don't think it's one you'd want to do tonight, because we have a lot on the agenda and other reasons. And I would say that if you can send the sections of the master plan that reference the stewardship committee, I think that would be good for the stewardship committee to know. And maybe it's up to the Open Space Preservation Commission to make sure the master plan, we review all of the documents on open space in town. And I haven't looked at it lately, but maybe we can, I could talk with you, Kat, and then bring it back to my open space commission if there's something more that needs to be done about that, because it is an open space parcel.
Yeah, right. And I think the way it says, I'm happy to share that with the stewardship committee, the section that I'm referring to, and you know, I think the way they've referenced it is perfectly satisfactory for my initial, when I brought it up initially. So happy to do that. Thank you. And I appreciate the committee's consideration of the ask.
Okay. So we'll look forward to getting those references from the master plan so we can look at it as well. And what about the trail naming? I know that we've been talking about this for a while, and then you were ready to launch, and it was a bad day for me to be able to help you, I remember. So what's the update there?
Right. So one is, so the question is, we have a couple of things just to remind us what the Choate Fund grant was involving, and it has to do with the trail names. So there's about 6 trail names that we want to come up with. We wanted to reach out to the community and ask them to give us feedback. Say we provide 25 names, or maybe it's 20 names. We were going to use the, I think Freddie, you had shared the most recent, there was a botanist that came by and did a quick review and analysis of the town forest. So we were going to use some names from that report so that it was relevant to the town forest, and have folks vote, the community vote on their top 6 choices. And so of those top 6, we would choose the names of the trails. And so we'd still like to do that. The other pieces of it were some directional signs, like signs that informational signs. One would be a map board at the end of wood at the end of Walnut, and then one on Woodland, I think, and then some dog waste signs. So it's also permitted uses, like what, you know, there's really nowhere we say what you can do in the town forest. So that was going to be part of the signage. And some, when you come into Walnut, some signage that says, hey, town forest this way, because once you get past that town forest sign at the end of Walnut and Oak Hill, you don't really know where you're going. So that was what was involved. And also the dog waste education campaign was included in this. So that was kind of the broader scope. We were going to include some signage even for Breakneck Hill. And so and then a larger scope would be for the trails throughout town, the signage that needs to be appropriately placed for where dogs can be and dogs can't be. So that part of the dog waste education campaign, what I had reached out to you, Joyce, was we leveraged Heritage Day. We had a booth, the Trails Committee did. So we did kind of a kickoff of a campaign, borrowing some really clever campaign slogans from the web, which was scoop the poop. And we recycled some information from DCR on why dog waste is bad for water, for stormwater, for land, and because we're in a reservoir and a watershed. So we had a nice display of that, and then we had our fake poop and our poop bags to draw attention, and we got a lot of kids interested in it. They were mostly interested in touching the poop, and we used we used it as an opportunity of, you don't really want to touch real poop, but you can touch this fake poop. So that got a lot of attention. And so we kind of use that as a kickoff. And what we had proposed in the grant application, or the proposal, was that we would do a kickoff and then kind of follow up with a campaign, like an education campaign in town. So my question, and what I bring to the committee tonight, is how do we see that coming about, right? So aside from the trail names, which we can get back to in just a moment, we could do a 4-week campaign program, and being a kickoff email that says, hey, this is happening, scoop the poop. We kind of share what the purpose is, and share some educational pieces. And then, we have kind of a 4-week plan. Week 2 could be sending out some supplemental information, some reminders about staying on top of your, dog poop wherever you are. Week 3, you know, we've talked about maybe having a table at Breakneck Hill on a Saturday or a Sunday, and having, you know, kind of, we could incorporate the Cub Scouts if timing and things worked out. I think kids delivering the message of why it's important could be a nice segue into, it can be a tricky conversation, as we know, bark rangers and such. So when we're delivering that message to adults, I think if we were to leverage children in doing that, that it might be an effective way of keeping it, keeping the conversation casual and, you know, level-headed versus an adult to adult saying, you know, do this, do that. So that was one thought and one idea. So we could, on that day, if we're at Breakneck Hill, we've talked about flagging all the poop that might be out on the trail, and using and obviously picking those flags back up, but just demonstrating what is out there. And then another aspect could be to have a scoop the poop cleanup Southborough day and have enough volunteers. And this is, you know, whether this will work or not, it depends. But if we were to combine 2 committees, trails and stewardship, that is, you know, what are we, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 5, that's 10 people, you know, spread out over Southborough and kind of get sections of trails and literally clean up poop and like have a fresh start, and let that part, you know, kind of be part of the campaign. So those are, and then having kind of a closing post, like this is what the campaign was, this, and then we'll have our signs that we've, you know, funded through the grant program. We'll have those put up and such. So that's the idea, is, and out there for consideration and thoughts.
So a multi-week campaign with various elements relying on stewards, trails committee, scouts, volunteers, etc. And then also the signage that would be paid for by the grant, right?
Yes.
And so have we as a committee seen the sign designs?
No, that would be, that's part of what we have to discuss and finalize.
Yeah.
What's your timeline?
So I think,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
All before, like, so I think if we were to get started, well, we kind of run into Thanksgiving if we start the first week in November, which would be next week. Like, and that start would be like a kickoff email and alert using the town alert systems and Facebook pages. So if we did that, the 4th week would land on Thanksgiving week. So it might punt into the next, you know, early, like the first week in December. So that would be the ideal.
When does the grant have to be done by?
It doesn't have a timeline, but part of, yeah, so it doesn't have a finite timeline. But Joyce, to that question, I was thinking that maybe I could volunteer to reach out to John and let him know where we are with the status of things. Let him know that the money donated to the kiosk has gone to good, you know, use, and the kiosk is up and running, and give him kind of a sketch, an outline of what we're planning to do, so he has a sense of the timeline. They haven't asked for that, but it's a courtesy email, so it might be beneficial for them to hear from us on where we are with things.
oh yeah, no, I think definitely nice to let them know and maybe include a picture of the kiosk, because it does look nice. And there was, yeah, it was a fair amount of money. I think is a couple $100 we provided. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I might even have a picture already of the kiosk that I took.
It would be nice if
So-
we had that sign up too.
Oh yeah, that would be even better. So maybe I need to take the picture a different
Even if someone's
time.
holding it up, you know, you could just take a quick picture on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, so
So one
the-
question I have, the 4 weeks, is that set in stone? I'm just wondering if doing something with dog waste when the weather's kind of iffy now, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll just have warm weather all the time. But is that the best season, or going to do townwide trail cleanups with dog waste. Is that what, I don't know. Are as many people out and about as they are in the spring? I don't know. I guess dogs go out all the time.
It's better than the winter,
I guess.
and probably better than the summer. If it were a little earlier, maybe ideal. But, you know, I think, yeah.
We do what we have.
Hmm?
We do what we have.
Mhm.
So is the Bark Ranger and some of their materials a part of this promotion?
I mean, I think we could definitely incorporate that into the booth, like at the table at Breakneck Hill. Because I think they had some educational materials. I mean, yeah.
I was in Concord last Saturday,
Mhm.
and as you walked into the park, you know how outdoor yoga is a big deal nowadays.
Mhm.
When you're down the Cape, there's always beach yoga.
Yep.
The entrance had this big thing with the different poses for dog poo yoga. And it's sort of funny, but you know, it gets the point without being too aggressive, like, you know, dog lunge scoop. I can't quite read it, but triangle pose, dog scoop, warrior dog scoop, you know, all the yoga poses, and then it
Mhm.
has the person doing it and showing how you scoop the poop at the same time. Fire hydrant, front scoop. I mean, it's really quite cute.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I can send the picture I took, but I could get a hold of the actual document for something else. Just caught my fancy. It was like kind of fun. Oh, they have yoga here. And then, you know, that's your first thought. And then your
Yeah.
second thought is like, oh yeah, bend over and pick up the, you know, if you, people who do yoga, why not?
I like
So-
it. I like that angle, like making it.
Oh, and there's lots of angles in it. I'm looking at it. I'm sorry you don't have it, but it was just so cute. And then there's a QR code on it that you could, you know, I'm sure it sends you to someplace else.
Yep.
For more
I think the
information.
humor, yeah.
So
And
I'll
I
send that
think
to you.
the humor angle, it sort of takes out any presumed aggressiveness or feeling of that we're being unwelcome to dog walkers or something.
Yeah.
That, you know, poop is funny. So let's, you know, I think I've seen ones also about the dog poop fairy and stuff. I mean, I think you shared some at another time, didn't you, Kat?
Some signage, yes, I think. And
Yeah.
actually, Freddie, you sent us the picture. I'm looking at it now. You did text us this
Didn't-
image.
The dog poo yoga.
Yeah.
And the poop fairy one, I think that was what we discussed having on flags or little signs that we go around and stick in all the bags of poop and all the, because people constantly tell me there's not that much. And then when you walk, it's like, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Especially because it's
There's
in
a
different
lot.
levels. And that could be, you know, you don't want kids doing that, though, we decided before.
Not to flag the poop.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe a mom decides. Do you want your kids getting that close to dog poop?
So like I just texted Jeff, and he is one of the den leaders for Pack One, Cub Scouts Pack One. So I asked him if they would be interested in helping pick up poop. His initial reaction was yes, but he said he's going to check with the pack leader and see what she thinks.
Mhm.
Oh, picking
So-
up poop is one thing. I
Well,
was talking about putting the flags in.
yeah, and I was thinking of Cub Scouts being maybe, I don't know, helping us deliver the message at the table.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm
Uh-huh.
sensitive to kids not touching. I'm sensitive to me not touching it too.
Is there equipment?
Is there equipment? Yeah, you put a plastic bag over your hand, reverse side.
Yeah, so like,
Shovel, a little shovel, a
I
trowel.
was thinking of,
Like
I'm
some
thinking
people-
of what I see at the state parks when they do the goose poop. It's like a long handled dustpan, but then I don't know how you get it out of
Yeah.
the dustpan. So goose poop's different than dog poop, I guess.
Well, I have a lot of, if the dog poop is already bagged, those that think there is a poop fairy, I do have the trash reachers. I have like 5 or 6 of them that might be handy for the cleanup if poop is already in a bag.
Yeah, and I love the idea of the flagging, whether or not like we get people to actually pick it up. I mean, kids being kids, I would worry there would all of a sudden be some flinging of poop.
So I'm going to be
Um,
honest,
but-
I'm not going to go on a trail and pick up dog poop. It's not happening for me. I do a ton of work every week, and I'm not going to, and I'm wondering how many other people are going to want to do that. I mean, if you think there would be a big swelling of people, and I don't think it's a bad
I mean,
idea.
I would do it if presuming I'm, back in Massachusetts, and not still in North Carolina. But I think the flagging serves a really great educational purpose, regardless of whether it ultimately gets picked up. I mean, if we do get some scouts and some stewards and different people willing to pick it up, great. But I've always liked the idea of flagging for the educational value for the people who think that, oh, there's not that much. And then they see all these flags and they're like, oh, wow.
Mhm.
And I like the table idea with the, whether it's the kids doing, one of the troops or something doing the outreach to talk about it alongside us or not. I think that is terrific. And I would love to see us, pick a couple of sign designs that we could use on the, to further the education. We could always have one or more on the kiosk and at the post at the other side, and as well as, I always worry about sort of sign pollution, and sometimes our signs get vandalized or picked up or lost in the overgrowth. But it's just, I do think these humorous signs can probably be pretty good at raising awareness and making people think twice.
As far as having scouts involved, I think you would need, I don't know, just from what I've seen with Simona, I think it might be better to approach like the actual BSA scouts, not Cub Scouts, if you really want them to help deliver the message, because they basically, they're not really going to do anything outside of their scout meeting. And it's hard to get kids to actually take in a message and remember it and then be able to regurgitate it.
Yep.
So yeah, you might want older scouts for that. And then as far as the flagging, I don't think they have to put the flag in the poop. If they could just put it in the ground next to the poop.
Yeah.
And then maybe like some of us adults go around and actually pick it up at the end of the event or something.
Yeah.
So maybe, so then the kids aren't really, they're getting educated, but they're also a little involved at the same time. And it helps probably just bring more attention if we say that there's Cub Scouts involved in it or something.
If we go to the trouble of putting it out there, I'd like to leave it for a couple of days to get the most bang for the buck of people coming across it and seeing it. And there's the risk that somebody's going to take them and just, but
Yeah, like
leaving
over
it
a
there,
weekend. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's value if you're going to. Another question. I know I talked about it once before, and maybe it's a follow-up and not everything for this time around. But when you get good images, making a postcard like size, we used to do it for stormwater, and I might still have some of those postcards, and you can put them in a town, like when the taxes go out or people get their dog why how could we tap into when people register to get their dog license and they get the little license, that it comes with a postcard, it's attached to a postcard that talks about picking up the dog, and the requirement that the town has a law and there's a fine. I don't know that anyone's ever been fined for it. Someone on a post on a social media just said something about people leaving their doggy bags at the end of the driveways.
Yep.
And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, so I think more.
Yeah. I like the postcard idea. I'm curious. I don't know if that will have enough funding with the choke fund grant, but perhaps the town, if we were to provide them a template, perhaps it's just literally, if it's a postcard size, it would be an 8.5 by 11 cut in half. That could just be part of the process, and the town wouldn't mind printing in house. Like, it's just it doesn't even have to be color. It's just a black and white. But yeah, that's a good idea. Like, we could provide that information and ask them to include that in the dog registration license, but also in the welcome letter. I think Melissa had mentioned that there was a welcome letter, because the thing with the dog license, they don't, when they renew, anyway, that's just
I
that.
think when you renew, you have to pick up the actual physical license.
There was some catch there, though, that it wasn't going to be foolproof. But yeah, so I like the concept in general, and I like that, including that we won't be able to fund it moving forward, right? We won't be able to fund the cost of the printing of the postcard, so I'll have to get.
I think I was involved back when we had the Suasca Watershed Community Council, and we did a Stormwater Matters program, and Beth may even have some of them. I said Beth. Melissa may even have some of them, and I think I do. And I think there was one about dog waste. So I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, so I like that idea.
I mean, I might have 100.
Because that's a way of making this a lasting program, something that, like, we've actually made a difference by adding this information to communication that goes out to town people. So I really like that. Thank you, Freddie.
And is the dog license, is it the same annual date for everybody in town for renewal, or is it based on a rolling, whenever your dog got its license?
So the dog license is, I think it is moved to it's basically whenever you get your rabies updated vaccination, which is like now every 3 years. So I don't know if some people still can have it every year. That might be an option, but I know that there's definitely an option where you just get a renewal like every 3 years with your rabies vaccination. And I think they send you like a reminder letter that you need to, renew your dog license.
Well, if you're getting that
and
letter,
that comes
it could have
from the town.
It could
What?
have, if you're getting a letter to remind you, that could include some information.
Well, I think it's an email, not the license does get physically mailed out. So that's where you could, like, I don't pick it up, it comes in the mail. So I think you could have an extra sheet in there with some educational material possibly.
When it comes in the mail.
And you get an
Yes.
email? What does the email say?
I don't remember for sure if I get an email or, a reminder email to renew, or if I just know that I need to do it.
Yeah.
Because it used to be every year, but I think it just recently switched.
It'd be great if we could go greener and not have to print, and that we do it,
Yeah, well, the license is getting mailed out, and it's like taped on, it's a little piece of metal, so it's getting taped onto a piece of paper, basically. So that could be.
Does the paper have printing on it? Do you remember?
I don't even remember if it has anything written on it, or if it does, it's not very much of the page. So I think.
Okay. I'll talk to the town and see what we can.
Yeah.
do.
And I think this is through the town clerk's office.
Yes.
And the town clerk was who put the fine for dog waste. I think it was his Warren article. So I think he would be very happy to, it seems like a good fit.
Yeah, this is awesome. I really like this.
And maybe it's just in the, a note in the time to renew your license and a reminder there's a fine for not picking up after your dog, and maybe some other language in addition to that. Something positive, I don't know.
Where you can go to walk your dog.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that.
Okay. And then the other piece of the show, we had talked about doing a guided hike, and we have money to pay a guided hike leader. But I think at this point, what we might want to do with that is wait until the spring and have and do the guided hike at that point, because I think we'll lose a lot of people with the colder weather.
Except just throwing it out there because I was thinking of doing it. We've had great fun with winter tracking events.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we found the Bob. Were you there, Joyce? We found the Bobcat at Breakneck Hill.
Yes, the bobcat scat, and the
'Cause
I'm
we had
proud
no
to say
snow.
that.
We had no snow to track, so we had to go looking for other signs of animals. And I think
Yeah,
it was some
and I'm
skunk
proud.
fur.
I found some skunk scat. I remember I'm like, here's some scat, and the guide came over to identify it, and it was skunk.
You know, you have a good leader when
Oh.
you're there to track animals in the snow and there's just mud. So we tracked animals in the mud. And then what did he found this? He found the bobcat scat.
Yes, on the stone wall. I think in the northwest corner or something of the property. And yeah, that was
Whatever
pretty
you want to do, Pat.
exciting.
I just was throwing that out as something.
So the guided walk, were we specific in the grant application about whether that would be Breakneck Hill or Town Forest? Thought it was Town Forest.
I think it's Town Forest, but when I was thinking about it, it would be great if we could do a little combo. Because
Yeah.
I think the Town Forest is kind of smallish for a hike that's going to be interesting to people, and the diversity offered by a combination of Breakneck and the Town Forest might be an improved experience for folks.
If I may, it depends on what kind of a nature walk, because a guided hike can take a lot longer to go a little distance. And when we did the mushroom walk in the Town Forest, it was one of the most, it's one of the funniest and happiest, best nature walks ever. And people got a lot out of it. So, I mean, because you're looking at every little, square foot. So it's different than, say, a bird walk.
Yep. Yeah, and we had put some money aside, or had noted that we'd like to have a interpretive sign or one or two interpretive signs. So having to, identify a location that we would want one of those signs. Kind of thinking that the pond with the wood duck box that you've submitted an application for, Jenny, might be a good location to talk about, species that live in that pond or something. I don't know if anyone has a thought of what else to highlight in the forest.
Maybe we take a walk and look for things to highlight.
Yeah, are the bird houses and stuff holding up from our spring installation?
The birdhouses are holding up. The woodpecker is holding up. The turtle is holding up, minus its head loss. And the like I mentioned, the squirrels melted, and the smaller dragonflies are gone, and the large dragonflies disabled, and the salamander still there. And I can't find wood frogs. I saw the wood frogs once, they're gone. I can't find them again. I don't know what the wood frogs are.
I don't think I ever saw the wood frogs myself, but
I think I'd remember.
Yeah, I think the wood duck box and that pond is a good opportunity for an educational sign.
Because there's some bat boxes up too. Actually, there's a bat box that fell, I think, over there.
Yeah. Okay.
So
We need to
So,
make arrangements to
um,
get the back box repaired. You said
Yeah.
it fell in?
it fell off the tree. I think it's fallen off the tree, if I remember correctly.
Should we go look for it and see if we can get someone to put it back up, or do you think it fell apart?
I could go take a look at it. I don't exactly know. I thought when I saw it, it was still a unit. I didn't think it fell
do
apart.
we want to,
That was the one that was in the pond? That was on a post that was kind of in the pond?
That's the wood box. That's good. I think the bat box was up on the, unless you're saying it was in the pond when you were there and it was.
Well, there was some kind of box that was in the pond, but the post was basically, I think a little way into the pond.
Yeah, that's the wood duck box. That's in the middle, like.
No, not in the middle, just like a little bit, like a couple of feet. And then and then we
Depends on
pulled
what
it
time
out.
of the year. How
Oh
far
yeah,
in.
that was in
Yeah.
the spring. That was when we went there to certify. So, and then I dragged it out to the side. So it's probably still there. It was very heavy.
Oh, I think that might be the bat box then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
If you
bat
could-
box wasn't on a post though, it was on a tree, I thought.
Right. I thought so.
All right. I
Could've
might not
fallen
remember
off and
right.
Someone could have thrown it in. You never know.
Yeah. So do we want to pick a date to actually do a forest walk together? Or is that-
Sure.
So you're saying are you,
Well, yeah. Do we need a forest?
to think
walk?
about the signage and well, just for any of those reasons to look at the trip. We haven't done that as a committee in a while, so if we wanted to do that as a site walk.
well,
I
I
think
guess the
there's
question
value.
is whether cats, this 4-week, dog waste thing really gets going now or not.
Yeah, that would be a lot. I think we did the town forest walk plus the 4-week thing. So Kat, I would think the 4-week thing would be more the priority to get the dog waste stuff going.
Mhm.
So that puts all the interpretive signage and signs for rules or whatever it is to the, after we get together and walk it after the 4-week dog waste. And as far as the timeline goes.
So I guess it depends. I don't know that we have to wait for all of the 4 weeks to be over and then address it. Like it could be done like sending around an example of the signage. And then I guess it just depends on our next meeting when we decide to meet. Because I'm thinking things can run in parallel.
But they can, but I think my recommendation was that we all walk there before we decide what interpretive signage we're going to choose.
Okay.
And if we're not going to do if we're providing stewardship of the land, we should all go there together on some basis as a committee to do a site walk together, or else how do we know what we're talking about?
Yeah, I would love to do, I'm sorry that I can't be more specific about when I'll be back from North. I know I'm around this coming weekend. And after that, I'm not sure when I'll be back. I'll probably be back around Thanksgiving time. But, because by then I think we'll have the house on the market. So,
I mean, if other people don't
Um,
think that's important, I'm just one voice, but I don't know how you provide stewardship if we're not all there looking at what's going on.
I guess I was under the assumption we've all been to the forest and we're familiar with it, but maybe I'm making that assumption because I'm most familiar with it because I live next to it and I go there more regularly, maybe. I guess the other thing is if we did individually go and based on our own schedules and stuff, is there any benefit to that? Does that help us advance? Or do you think the group meeting is the way to go in this case?
I think group is preferred. But and if we can't make that happen, and I recognize my own sort of limits there right now as I continue to spend time on my getting my brother's estate put together. But yeah, if there's
The
if there's
reason,
a time,
the reason I like going in a group is that when you're there together, I find myself, I get to see differently through other committee members' eyes. Something I might not have noticed before, something that I just walk by blindly, or something maybe I see that others don't, but more oftenly I get the benefit of seeing it through your eyes. And then talking about it when you're right there. I mean, I do think if we're putting up permanent signage, I think taking a little extra time to get it right makes sense. But
Okay.
that's just mine. And I also understand people's schedules are really busy.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I feel like, I could probably handle, something in the next few weeks. And if it's the dog thing, because I need to present to the scouts and then do the event or something, then that would, we should probably pick a priority. I mean, I also think it's possible if we want to provide signage about animal habitat. I mean, a very easy focal point would be like that pool, because it's, there are the different boxes. There's a little bench to place that probably a lot of people, step off the main trail for a minute and take a look or something. So
Deciding where to put the sign, I think, is
That's
a
true.
bigger deal than you think when one person. I mean, I've been on these, and I know I've thought something was the perfect place and then walked away with a totally different opinion when everyone gave their viewpoint. So
yeah, that's true.
it's not just the language. And my question is, if you don't have, and I understand the wanting to get moving on it, but if you're moving forward, I don't know that if you can't do it all at once without what feels to me shortchanging the process, why not focus on the dog waste, and at the end of that campaign, start the interpretive signage? I mean, if you said do them in tandem, but why is there a reason you can't do them sequential? Finish one and then start on the next, if people don't have time to do both.
I mean, I don't know how much we're going to be doing in December in general. It's the holidays and such. So yeah, that's fine.
it can be a good time to get the signs decided on and ready, and then
Winter walks are nice.
installed in the that's true, and installed in the spring. And also I understand there's some witch hazel there that will be just coming into bloom now and for the next couple of weeks, so that's always a treat as well. So is there, go ahead, Freddie.
Just back to I didn't want to forget this, the trail naming with that list I sent you from the botanist. I think that was in conjunction with the tree stewardship program. I don't know that totally captured everything that was in the tree. We had a forestry plan done.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want you to miss, if there was something. We were going with just the forestry plan, and this other plan came up. I don't know that he was looking at the same level. I'm not sure which is more detailed. I just wanted to mention that. Because like the witch hazel.
I don't think witch hazel is a predominant species there. the way it
Yeah,
is.
wasn't
at,
that
like,
all we
Oh.
could, wasn't that all we could see when we were out there with her doing the installation of the artwork?
Was it witch
think-
hazel? I thought it was like huckleberry or something.
Well, I think there's some parts where there's like when you first come in off of Woodland, where there's a lot of witch hazel.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I still like Witch Hazel Way.
I'd vote for that.
So, what do we need for votes to proceed on the, if anything, on these things for the multi-week dog education effort? There was, now it's unclear in my notes what the kickoff and the various things are. I feel like the piece that needs, we would want to approve any sign design, and we've got a couple of great ideas. And then the preceding steps up to the installation of the signs would be some working with scouts and things like that, and picking some dates for which things happen when. Lining that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I don't know if anything needs to be voted on, unless you want to, unless a vote needs to happen for the kickoff, the educational plan. Like if you need a vote on that, I don't know if a vote's needed on that process. I think what I could do is outline it and circulate it to the committee. And if there's specific feedback, if you were to send it back to me directly, it's not breaking open meeting law. I incorporate the feedback and then go to town. Not go to town, but like kick off.
So you're saying there's going to be, I just want to be clear, an educational component that's printed and distributed.
Yep. Leveraging some information that we've received from DC that they use for their dog waste education program.
I think if there's educational materials that reference stewardship's role, that we should at a minimum be looking at it and agreeing to how it's framed.
Okay, I have an idea.
And yeah,
Let's not do any of this year. Let's wait until the spring. And the next meeting, I would have circulated everything that we need to see for signage, for an outline, for everything. The committee can take its time reviewing the materials, voting and approving, and then we take the winter to do that, and then we kick off in the spring.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I feel like I'll be a lot more available come after about Thanksgiving to help and stuff. I
So
hate to keep kicking things.
I
And
don't
we'll
think that's a
send-
bad plan, but are there some components we could do, like a winter interpretive walk? So you're not leaving everything till later.
Well,
So you
one
feel
of
like
the
you're accomplishing something.
all winter we'll be accomplishing getting the signage printed, the signs done by both the printer and the sign manufacturer for the trail names. We can do the survey of the trail names, but part of the reason we were doing the hike was to highlight the new trail signs and show the new map boards and things like that, to show the new features that we're installing in the forest. So that was one of the reasons for
Okay.
that. Yeah, to
I
kind of
missed that. I just didn't want you to feel like everything was being pushed down to the spring, but
We can also have our site walk then, like whenever Joyce is available, like beginning of December or whenever.
Yeah.
That is something that we
And,
could do now.
and I can
Is
include.
it-
Go ahead, Joyce.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't think it's a bad thing to wait till spring, but I like the idea of even once or twice from now until then, using the flags and then using my Southborough or something to draw attention to, you know, in
Yeah.
a smaller way and leading up to a bigger kickoff in the spring. Like, oh, you may have noticed this winter at Breakneck Hill that from time to time there's been some flagging. Well, those flags are all places where dog poop piles were left.
Yeah.
And
And
I mean,
if you had a whole nonstop trail of them, it'd be a pretty significant picture.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, in the spring, I mean, like if we were to do it pretty soon after the snow melts, then there's a lot of stuff that's left over that nobody picked up all winter. So
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So I actually think that doing flagging,
Like
one-
maybe
you know,
in
couple of
March, the end of
times.
March, depending on how the winter
Well,
goes.
or
Yeah,
even
that one.
sooner. Why not do some flagging in November and then again in March? And
Yeah,
then so I would be in favor of that, Kat.
So I have one concern about flagging. When I originally talked about the little poop fairy, there is no poop fairy. It wasn't on a flag, it was on a little sign. And if there's somehow we could afford that, I'd prefer that, because the native pollinator preservation garden, the public display gardens, have flags to mark the plants. And I don't want to have people start thinking dog shit and native plants together. And
So,
Um,
so we don't have funding to make little signage for every poop flag.
I
But
said I'd look into finding it.
so what if so I like the flags, and I don't think they're going to confuse flags with poop with flags with native plants, but to ensure they don't, then why couldn't we put a little label on it that
Well,
and
the original point was to have signs that said there is no poop fairy.
right, and we could literally put a label that says there is no poop fairy on
And
the
I know what happens with flags. You can't even read a number because they curl up. You won't be getting the message. I just would like the opportunity to look into if we could do a little sign. And this isn't with your grant, unless that was included in your grant.
not
I
that many.
think,
Yeah.
could Stewardship pay for it though with our own funds?
If it's at Breakneck Hill, we could.
Yeah.
So I just
So
want.
Freddie, are you saying something kind of like the salt no spray signs that
No,
or on the little metal poles?
little. I haven't even investigated. I saw little signs, like they're almost like a popsicle stick size with a little thing, a solid thing sticking out with a little poop fairy. And maybe they don't all have it. I haven't priced anything, but it just seemed to send a bigger message. And I am concerned about the flags because I've taken a hit over using the flags. So, and it's a critical and important part of getting these native plant gardens established. And if we start using them to designate, I mean, there was pushback because they're used on like marking gas lines and stuff. And if we start in town using them to mark dog waste, it's just going to make my life really hard. Really, when you think there's no connection.
I will volunteer to look into the little metal signs that on the popsicle stick size sticks.
I know I saw them when I sent them out. They were like you could buy them somewhere. I don't remember the price, and maybe it's too much money. I don't know. I'd like to look into it.
So I guess
And
related to that then, so this, I have to figure out how trails will work their end of it. If stewardship is going to pay for a special signage outside of what the grant is going to pay for. So because the Dogways campaign goes beyond just Breakneck. And obviously we don't expect stewardship to pay for what, but it would be nice to have a consistent signage throughout town on this and not have different uses. And if the flag is going to cause an issue for Freddie's initiative, then I need to figure out on trails what we can do. And we don't have any additional budget. We don't have any budget aside from grant to.
So I'm going to apologize. I forgot that the trails were sticking up the dog signs too, because
No, I appreciate the message that the flag, because you do want a message to go with the flag so that each flag carries its own impact. So in case you only see one flag, you get it right away. But I need to figure out how we'll make that happen townwide. So I think
well,
we're good. And
let me think about some aspects of it, because this is stewardship is a conservation commission budget. And dog waste getting into public waterways and wetlands, I think could be a conservation issue. Even if they don't have the care and control of the land, they have obligation to the wetlands. So or if they could be reusable.
Right.
Do it one place one day and then we lend them to you and then you bring them back.
Yep, that would be.
I think loaning them out could be done.
And this might not be a 1 year thing, a one-time thing. This might be something we can, come
If we
back.
get the right ones, it's multi-years. And we'd like to be using
Yeah, it
less
could
and
be a
less of them every
partnership.
year.
It would be really a great idea to be able to reuse them, the reduce reuse concept too. Yeah.
I just know with our plant flags, we put with the magic, like a Sharpie, the number, 1 to 30. And almost immediately you have to bend over and unroll the flag to see what number is on it. So there's no way any message is going to stay out there. When they blow in the wind, it's okay, but just when you're there looking, you just don't see it most of the time. But
good. So I think we have enough to finalize our conversation. So, and I can include, Joyce, what I'll do is I'll draft something for John Warren and let you look at it, make sure it's in alignment with your thinking as well, as far as our proposed schedule. And, just focused more on how, why we're shifting the schedule to ensure that we're, reaching the most people the most effective way. And hopefully by spring, there'll be less COVID. I might not say anything about that, but it may work out better where more people can participate and feel like they are more comfortable doing so.
Great. Thank you. And I will look into those popsicle stick signs for poop because I'm kind of excited about that.
Thank you for your
all
time.
right.
thank you for all your work on this, Kat.
All right. So
Is Isabel still here? Bella?
Yeah, I'm still here, guys.
Just grunt or groan once or laugh once in a while.
Okay.
all right. So a lot has been happening at Breakneck Hill for us to hear about, and I tried to do as comprehensive a list of the things we'll need to hear some highlights on, which I'm looking forward to. Some of which, if I could just go out of order on one thing, if you'll allow me, the community gardens. This was something, I had planned, obviously, I had been working closely with Isabel Kerber, alongside some of you, as we were working so hard to get cleanup done at community gardens and get more of the plastic waste out before it got plowed under. The new agreement required the gardeners to clear their plots and to have their plots inspected at the end of the season. Isabel Kerber and I were arranging to coordinate on those inspections when I got called away with my brother's rapid decline and passing, and I wasn't able to really do any of the inspections. I don't really know if any of you were able to help with that, or if Melissa got out, or if Isabel ended up doing them all by herself. But it is my understanding that a couple of gardeners will be prohibited from renting next season because of some of the debris left behind. And so I will be following up with Isabel on that. And it's our intent that that be written in again to the agreements for the spring. So that was just one thing I wanted to share, and I just I'm sorry I wasn't able to. Just pretty much been living in North Carolina at my brother's home while we prepare it for sale, so I wasn't able to do that. So
I don't know if anyone else did, but because I was there a lot, I did end up doing some walks with Isabel. And I will say the gardens in general looked a lot better than we had seen before. The two gardens where they actually left hardscaping material, never mind all the crap on the ground. So it wasn't clear to me that they had come back to clean it out by the deadline as much as they had left stuff behind, if that makes sense. But you know, Isabel gave people lots of warning on when they had to have things out. So,
and I would like to invite Isabel to a meeting sometime later this winter in advance of, you know, just to have a good check-in. I ended up working a little more closely with her this year than I had previously, and I think she really appreciated the support. And I think it was a fruitful relationship.
I also think if we're being more engaged, then that opens up the conversation of how it's run that we never participated in before. And not for this meeting, but I'd stopped by one in Lincoln. And they require, in addition to paying money, you have to donate some time. Because, you know, it was the end of the season and I saw Isabel and her husband, Isabel and one volunteer. And that just isn't, you know, that's not right in my mind. But I'm not a community gardener, but I know other gardeners. If you wanna, you know, there's the community in the community. And these other gardens, you know, people were, you know, whether you worked or there was something you had to do. And I think looking into some of those other models, but I don't think that's our job. But I just want to say, it's like, it would alleviate some of the stress and then having any of that stress fall back on us because we have our hands full. I didn't have time to go out and be inspecting gardens and looking at, you know, what garbage is left behind, or last year, Joyce and I collecting bucketfuls of trash. So, you know, if we can help encourage a better model, I think that would be something that would be in our best interest long term. Another thing, I would hear gardeners come up and complain about the condition of the soil. And I'm like, well, have you gotten together over the winter and talk how you can address, you know, just there's no like sense of community. I think it's just Isabel, and she sends out emails and people either ignore them or not, but it doesn't seem like to be a real healthy model. But
Yeah,
again,
so I think this winter we can have her in and maybe encourage some of those models of getting a crew of gardeners that are expected, that are willing to help her out a little more and that kind of thing.
yeah, the only thing when I don't want us to do more work, I'm not sure that she's going to go out and look at other models. And I wonder if that's something maybe we could ask Melissa to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's
Sure.
lots of community gardens around the state that have, information online. That if Melissa provided it to us and Isabel, we could talk about it.
Okay. Freddie, maybe you can give us some of the, fill us in on some of what else has been happening at Breakneck Hill, where you've been spending so much time and had some good success at the ecology and etc. I see top on the list, Dr. Jagir research.
Yeah, so I think we all know that we're part of 4 research projects at Breakneck Hill this year. Before it was just the one. And this year he had 3 additional grad students there, which maybe I can get some updates for us in the future, but I think it's pretty significant that we're part of this preserving functional diversity on our landscape. I also think going back to some of the things Kat was talking about at the town forest, in my mind is, particularly if things open up, to do a bigger, we never got to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and maybe making the big town-wide, the Open Space Commission a couple of years ago, before we got shut down for COVID, had planned a, I forget what we called it, but like Earth Day Palooza, and having events all around the town. And I think some of this could be a part of that, because it's right in line with what E.O. Wilson, who was, I think, one of the founders of Earth Day, what he just has a new book out, and I think we can tie into that. So, we have the research, we have the ecology garden, we also have the meadow, which somehow didn't turn out so well, and I'm going to look at having another meadow guy come out and take a look, and then see if we have to start over, or if we can just like do some winter sowing or plant plugs or do something like that. Because we were so busy at the library garden with some volunteers, we didn't do as much on Breakneck Hill, but we did have 2 huge events. So last weekend you were there, Jenny, there were like a dozen people there. Joyce, you stopped in too,
I
right?
think something like that.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I stopped in briefly.
And there was another one before that. I know Kat was there. So we have had some success keeping, and ecology was done so well. The pollinator gardens on Wildflower Hill need a little more work, but we did have this is something we should tap into more often. We had a business bring 17 people for a volunteer work day. And I have another gentleman who's given me the Open Space Commission, and a lot of it's been at Breakneck Hill, 2 full days of work that he volunteers. And he talked about maybe, if we can hook up with management, having it be like, he thinks it would be a good team building exercise. So if we can tap into some of these corporations who have these volunteer work days, like, why not us? So I'm thinking of that. But we did have the success, and additionally, the company that sent their volunteers, the workers, donated equipment to us that we've been using, which has been really nice. So there was an added bonus there. Shed for storage. The community garden shed is pretty much bursting at the seams. And we have huge amount of stuff still in the ecology garden that's just hanging out there with no place to go. I mean, we might be able to stuff it in, but then no, you know. So we talked about getting a shed, and I'd like to see us move in on that. I'm not sure that having it, we talked about having it, the location next to the existing community garden shed, which is a good worst case scenario, but it really would be beneficial to have one that's convenient to where people are working. So,
Yeah, I think that that location of next to was based on a conversation with Melissa that maybe I had or you and I had with her, Freddie. I can't
it is, but
remember precisely.
That was here.
So-
That was in one of these meetings, I think.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
it
about
was.
not
So it
being
was the
near the
whole.
wetlands.
Yeah. So do you see an option that's closer that isn't near the wetlands?
I think it's worth thinking about before we define it and then figuring out the size, but we really need something, you know, plus we need to be able to lock it up. There's equipment that, you know, I don't want it disappearing. And there's, the next thing on the agenda was parking. We never finished the parking lot. Getting anyone to do work this year has been horrendous. I've probably spent more time trying to reach people to get them on the land than any work has been done. I can't tell you how much time, emails, text, phone calls, messages, back and forth. And I'm happy to say we did get some of the mow done. I mean, we got the grasslands, I think, in pretty good time. We wanted it August. We got it before the end of September. So we wanted it August 1st. Soon after that, so at least it wasn't in March. I know. But I think back to the parking, we talked about doing the parking lot on the base of Wildflower Hill. And I've come up with maybe some fencing to put around the parking area. I really don't like, last year we kept people from driving over the plants. Remember, they were throwing the stones and putting the plants.
Yep.
We did it with some driveway markers and orange tape, which kind of looked like hell. And I found some nice fencing online that, you know, maybe it will work. And I'll show that to us at the next meeting, I guess.
If that's something that can be ordered online, does that mean Melissa can do it? Like, how does that, like, I'm not sure how we would.
Well, as you know, Joyce, because you've started pitching in that way, I usually spend thousands of dollars of my own money every year on, you know, I shouldn't say thousands, but it adds up over 1,000 or close to 2. And then you know, if you don't keep all your receipts, you're lucky. For years, I never got anything back, and then I started submitting it. So I don't have any way. I've never found a way. Nobody's, you know, I've asked over time, how can we get, you know, things. I have a couple of companies that will bill us, thank God, like Bigelow's and, but you know, Lowe's won't. They have a charge card. I don't know who get a charge card. So I don't have a clue without spending our own money and waiting to get reimbursed. And
Yeah.
I misplaced receipts for like $500 worth of equipment I bought for the library garden. I found them, thank God, but you know, that's on me but I don't think committee members should have to be spending their own money. It drives me nuts. So I don't know what the answer
And you're
is, Joyce.
saying there's some committees that have a credit card?
Or departments, I don't know. I don't know how other people get
Yeah.
stuff, you know?
All right. I may ask Melissa about that because I know we were scrambling the end of last fiscal and we went out and got some equipment and stuff. But the shed was just was more
Well, the
than we
shed-
could.
The shed is a big ticket price. You can order that, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, and having shopped for sheds in my own home, it's like kind of fun, but I feel like figuring out the where it sits is probably step one before we can actually purchase it. And if we
Decide the
want it
size.
closer to, yeah, and
Yeah.
size, and then getting, like, would there ever be a path of an exemption from the wetlands restrictions that would be feasible for having it closer to ecology?
Yeah.
Or is that just be,
So the cap, it was a matter of permitting. So you can do anything, ask developers,
Okay.
right up to the 20-foot no touch. It's not even 20-foot
Yeah.
no touch. You know, I shouldn't say you can do anything, but you pretty much, wetlands are protected up to the wetland boundary, except for the Southborough as a 20-foot additional buffer. You just need permission to do anything within the
in the
100 foot
buffer?
or 200 feet from a perennial stream, which I don't think the stream there is. So
Okay.
yes, but it's permitting. I think the permitting was the issue, having to go in front of the Concom and ask for permission. Filling out a notice of intent or whatever, which you would prefer to avoid. So let's just see, and it just means walking further, it's okay, but what happens if anyone's been to the Ecology Research Garden? You end up with all the crap sitting inside the garden. Because people, you know, you pull a full day of working there and it's just like you're going back the next day and you're just gonna walk up there and back and forth and back and forth. It wears on you.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could use some of that blank space in between maybe ecology and community gardens.
Well, that's the other issue I'm looking into now is we've been told that that space is available for our pollination work. And they're not
To
going
incorporate
use
it to ecology.
And then we have to decide, and talking with Dr. Jagir, you know, like doing a meadow or planting for seeds or planting for, you know, you don't want to impact what we've already got going on in the ecology garden, and then how you would get it established and what that would take. But the reality is, you know, we have the plants in the ecology research garden, and we have some isolated plants throughout the rest of the non-grassland bird area. But contrary to what, you know, we thought, we got rid of the invasives, that the rest of the land was pretty good. We have an awful lot of ag, non-native plant material, and we really need to get more habitat productive plants in the rest of the property. And that means what we have going at ecology and those sorts of plants, you know, getting those seeds elsewhere, which was what part of the hope of getting the little meadow done would be. Although I will say that the little blue stem seems to be taking off lately, that grass. So anyhow,
Oh, that's great.
Question.
the other fencing issue, and this is something that Community Gardens asked about, and I need to circle back with Chris Politan. He discussed the deer issue is bad and it's going to get worse. And people in the community gardens are upset about their hard work being eaten by the deer. And that's not my purview, but if we're coming up with something to keep them out of eating the native plants as well, maybe this is over the winter. I'm not sure, nothing's happening right away, but Chris Politan talked about some type of solar powered electric fence that can keep deer out, and it's not super expensive. it's not super attractive, but maybe, you know, if it's around the, I'm not sure how you would make it work for the community gardens, because you have to go in and get out and not break the circuit. So I just think it's an option to think about, because the deer problem isn't going to get better until
And
people take a step to reduce herds.
and the electric is because they would run into it, but then they couldn't they leap over it?
8 feet tall is what you need for a deer fence.
Oh, so
And
8 feet tall, and
I don't
then
think the
so
electric
it.
was 8 feet. Chris said there was something, it was like a double layer that tricks them, their visual, and they can't figure out how to jump over it. It was like 2 strands staggered. I haven't seen one. I have to follow up with him.
Can I ask a question about the shed? Does the shed need a foundation? Like, do you need to put the shed on a concrete base? You know, or any gravel or?
I think it might need stick. Joyce, you know, you installed one. There's more. I thought
Well,
you just
so
put
when
a
I had
shed
one
and
in my
throw it up,
yard,
but no.
it's usually you do have to prepare the ground, and like the kind that we bought, Reed's Ferry Shed for my yard, they gave us very precise instructions to have our contractor, a different contractor, like prepare like gravel, you know, this wide, this deep, and it had to be leveled, and the stones had to be the gravel had to be a certain size, and then they build it on top of the gravel,
Okay.
so that it isn't really like concrete footings or anything.
Right. So the reason I ask about that is because our recent experience with the notice of intent that we needed to get for the fencing around the riser shaft for the Peninsula Trail, we had to go before the Conservation Commission and we were within the 20-foot buffer. And that is going to require an installation of a fence. You know, they're going to need some digging for the fence posts, and it sounds like that doesn't seem like an impossible hurdle, given my experience most recently. If you're just literally leveling some ground and graveling, you know, putting some gravel, you're not using concrete, you're not digging into the ground aside from maybe a top couple inches to level it off. That might be that might mean that's a viable option if you got it closer to you, even though it's within kind of closer to the wetlands.
Well, that's good to know, because I think that it is nicer if it's closer to Beecology than all the way over. And I think that we did use the community garden shed last year, and it was jam packed. Like, you could, once everything was in there, I could barely turn around to get myself out of there. And now we have even more stuff. So,
and it could be, and not to spend extra money, but you can make it a cute little shed that's a very easy on the eyes.
Sheds are cute.
Yeah, they are. They can be really cute, and it can have a little bench where you can sit and rest after a hard day's work.
Got that taken care of.
And some shade. Okay.
Yeah, shade's a big deal. That's why we have the umbrellas are crucial. The location too, you want to, I always keep thinking about the view of the land as well, which is important. So tree work is next there. I'm going to try to get the what was he called? The guy doing the pruning is
Dennis, was it Dennis?
Yeah, the orchardist to come back, and I think he made a big difference on the trees he trimmed, and the goal was to make them healthier, because apple trees don't have that long of a life, and when you prune them up, it does help them have more vigor and not like, so we want to finish that up. And also the dead trees, we only got a portion of them to come down, the ones we weren't keeping or the ones that were too big. So that would be starting up again this winter or this fall, if we can find somebody to come out and do it. So I'd like to, try with Twin Pines and
Do we
the
think that Dennis the orchardist will come back?
I think so. I think he got busy with other stuff, and I meant to reach out to him again. He stopped working when he said the birds were nesting, and he didn't want to be in the trees when the birds were there. And I just haven't gotten back to him. Like, I think the birds are gone. So, and usually you do a lot of this work at certain times, but, he says he certainly was affordable and did good work, and he's in high demand. So I'd like to work with him again if he's still doing it.
Yeah, especially if we didn't really get through all the trees that we anticipated. And we marked a lot of trees for him last year.
Yeah, he didn't start on the north pasture, and I'm not sure he finished the other side of the property.
Okay.
The mow, I don't know if I said I have to double check. Maybe somebody would help me. I got we got the grasslands mowed. And then, how from the trail going from the top of the little hillside towards the pond, going down to, it was the old south pasture, going down to the wetlands. I'm not sure if he did that, but I said, do that and go all the way over to where the trees had been pruned around the pond. So I'm not sure how much of that got done, but some of it got done. It was and he did the front pasture. So the rest of it, and we need to see what, I have to talk with Dr. Jagir to make sure. Last year he had his research students come and we had mowed down the research plants. And I'm like, well, we need to have better, communication. Kat had mentioned she wanted something different to flag what we don't mow, and I'm open to ideas, but I have none. I don't know if you wanted to speak to that, Kat.
What we flagged to mow, you mean all the flags in general? Like when I mentioned the aesthetics of it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm at my wit's end taking care of that property, and I'm exhausted, and if somebody has an idea of how they want to do things differently and wants to go out there and mark the plants with a new way, and then go out and meet all of the different contractors and tell them what's marked and what it means by the new marking, and take down all the old marking, that some of them know what it means. That's beyond any capacity I have. I mean, it has to be a group endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we've been doing as a group for years.
All right, so I don't have a new suggestion.
Yeah, it's hard to, I was thinking about it too. How do we flag something to not be mowed that'll be visible to the mowers, but not disruptive to the view or whatever? And like, I think I could say, oh, well, we could, use landscape paint on the ground, except you really can't because everything's overgrown. So, I've been out there a couple of times flagging the different native roses and whatnot. And it's hard. It is hard with those ribbons. They blow, they rip, they shred over time, but they're visible. If you put them on posts, they're visible. And I don't know, short of expecting a mower to be able to identify all these plants, I don't know what the option is.
I wonder now, I'm not suggesting this is what we do, but just as we were talking about reusable dog waste signs, are there, like the driveway markers, the really tall ones that go above
The
snow?
orange.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
something taller than that, right? Like, I don't even know if it's a thing, like taller than that. And it's like a pole, and perhaps it's color coded, or does it have a sign on it? I don't know. I mean, something that could be reused. I was thinking the same thing for marking sections. Like if it just like one of this, the how, so I guess one of the questions I have, I know we mark certain plants that we don't want to have mowed over. Do we mark sections of land with the ribbon to not mow, or do you just mean the clusters of different plants on the piece that we're mowing? Because I didn't know
Kind of like,
clusters.
I
Yeah.
think it's more clusters of plants, don't you, Freddie? When we go and we tie the ribbons around the poles around a cluster of the roses or something.
So it's a mixture. Last year had a high number because it was the first year we flagged the trees. So almost all the apple trees were flagged,
Mm-hmm.
or half of them, so that was an additional flagging.
Mm-hmm.
We also had some of the grasses flagged. I'm not sure we need to do that this year because Rob wanted large sections for nesting, not mowed. Then we don't mow, when the pussy willow came in, we flagged individual pussy willow. But then when you have a whole area of the
You need
bush
points.
honeysuckle,
Yeah.
then we tape around it by putting up what are they, driveway markers,
Mm-hmm.
and wrapping it around it.
Mm-hmm.
And with the ribbon, the drive, yeah.
So the thing, there's two parts here. And believe me, I get we want it to be beautiful. But there's the conservation value, and this land is so degraded. And I feel like we've been working really hard to bring it back. So we first thought, oh, get rid of the invasives. And then what do we find? That, yeah, just because it's not all Oriental bittersweet, basically when we did the surveys with Dr. Gigier for not just the at-risk species, you start looking at everything, right? What's there?
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of not really great habitat that we're trying to make better. And for so many years, and it's always the challenge, if you don't mow, the invasives come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we flag, because we can't afford to not mow a whole section for 5 years, which is what, or 3 years, because right now I'm looking at and get very discouraged. We have an invasive explosion going on there. And if we don't get it under control, we're going to be right back where we were in 2003. And I'm not, it is significant. And we didn't mow one section last year, and they didn't get in there. The autumn olive population has just taken off. And it's horrendous. And then you start seeing it everywhere. Then there's another section we didn't mow, and that has the invasive honeysuckle, whole field of that. And then there's the invasive bittersweet, which is coming back. And anywhere we don't mow, that comes in. So by flagging individual plants, there was the hope that you could mow around it and keep the invasives at bay. And we're just at a point where that's not even working that well right now. So, or we could just mow it all down and just, what
Well,
are
I
we
would
doing?
hate, yeah, I mean, I do think we have to flag. I do think we have to flag where we are aware of these native populations so that we can protect them. I'm wondering if another option of flagging, and I thought of this when Kat said those taller driveway signs, like a bicycle flag, if you know what I mean, like.
I bought those 7 feet tall with a big reflector on the top.
Yeah.
How did they work?
Well, I put one into, because it was on the whole property, I could only find one steeple bush naturally occurring. So I flagged it.
Uh-huh.
but I don't know where that went.
I don't,
Told
yeah, I
you
don't remember
over.
seeing.
Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing it. And then finding a place and you try to get it in the ground and then there's a stone. And then
Yeah, that's
are you
always an
suggesting
issue.
going back and picking it up every year and putting it back? I mean, I'm
Right.
lucky that we even get the flagging done. I mean, I'm sometimes racing the mower.
Right. So one thing with the trees, because that's kind of an anomaly in the sense that we're doing the tree work now, and that won't always be the case. But I mean, one thought would be you could use a small you could use a spray can, like a small can, and do a like little dot on a tree. But I don't know if that's going to be, if that's too hard to see or not. Like if he's going to be looking around for the dot versus the flag, which is very visible, that might not work so well. And then you have, if you've permanently marked a tree, then it's going to always be there. So that might not be a good solution.
I
So
think if it weren't for the trees, it wouldn't have been so
yeah.
in your face.
Yep, I agree. And I didn't
So
say
it might
anything.
be-
I didn't bring that up as a criticism as much as an observation, as a nature, like a trail user, and just like, oh, so it's not a criticism of anyone's efforts. I hope it wouldn't come across that way. But so yeah.
Can I get Freddie to say the areas that have been mowed already? It seems like a good thing to have in the minutes so that we have a record.
I need to go out and walk it unless somebody else wants
Okay.
to.
I can walk it probably this weekend. I have to be careful not to overcommit. I'm only home for a couple of days. I have a lot of other things to do, but I could probably do that this weekend. I want to get out there. So in fact, if like I could flag I know where the population of rose and native honeysuckle are. I'm not sure I know all the other populations, but I could definitely flag those.
So I think that's all still flagged.
Oh, okay. So it's still, that flag's still there. Great, great, great,
It's
great.
just checking to see that it's still showing up. And there was some new areas flagged and the honeysuckle. So Matt was back mowing. So the grasslands did get mowed, B, C, and D. That's a definite. The front pasture got mowed. That's a definite. I'm just not sure about what else. And Joyce, I was planning to go out there and meet the scout and you, if you're there 10:30 Saturday,
Okay.
so we could take a walk and see what needs to be done.
Yeah. Anyone else
We
is
have to
welcome.
pick which area doesn't get mowed. And I don't
Right.
I don't know that there is one, which is really sad to say.
Well, that's that tension with preserving the habitat versus letting the invasives go. So, whew, yeah.
So at least by flagging some areas, we're not mowing everything.
Yep.
But it might be, I was thinking the north pasture, but there's a segment of the north the guys are going to be doing the tree work, and it's harder to do the tree work if it's not mowed.
If it's not mowed.
So I think mowing it.
Well,
makes sense.
maybe when we're out there, we can take a critical eye to that. Freddie.
That's what I was saying. We should, but
Yeah.
and then you'll see what I mean. And then we have another problem with all the pine trees that are growing in. We need to decide what to do about that.
Growing in the grasslands?
The edges of the fields were allowed to shrink. So that small little pine trees are becoming big, and now people won't walk where they were, so they're walking further in. We're reducing habitat by putting for the grassland and meadows. Then, so we can do that Saturday, Joyce?
Yeah.
All right, as much as we
Yeah.
can. Is it gonna, weather-wise is?
I
Right.
think
Oh,
so.
I think it's supposed to be raining.
Yeah,
Let me check.
it is 80%.
I'm also around Sunday. I could do it Sunday. Is Sunday going to be okay?
Yeah. The next one was the invasives, and we can take a look at that, Joyce.
Yep.
So, oh, but this says is the total heading was Breakneck Hill management plans. In a recent, and that was like a subsection too. Last year, we talked about having a plan so we'd know what everything had to be done and when. Just even a list. And we don't have that, but I think we're at a place when I'm looking at the property where we need a bigger plan. We had the Conway School of Landscape Design in 2000 and was that 6 or 4?
Gosh,
It was
it
it was before we did the clear cut.
it was probably around, yeah, 2004, 2005, maybe.
Yes, 2004. So that's almost 20 years ago, over 15. It depends which way you count. Over 15 years ago, things have changed. I think it would be, instead of just having our annual plan, that maybe we think about investing in a professionally done one. Or I talked with Chris Politan if he does that, and I'll see what he says, because maybe he'll come through over the winter. But we also need to have a situation where instead of me saying, oh, this needs to be done and this needs to be done, and can you come here and can you come there, and then I meet the guy and I'm walking around with them. I think we need to like start going out to bid or having contracts. A much more formalized plan, because it's not a, when we first started out, it was a little here, a little there, and we've slipped into I think we need something more, and I think I'd like us to over the winter consider that, and getting, taking it a little bit off my back and having it be
Yeah, and we also have more funding in
right.
recent years. And am I
So-
correct that Melissa is getting some support?
For what?
So that, I don't know, some sort of administrative support so she could do more of the
That
other
part-time
kinds of.
role.
We had recommended it, and then she had asked, and then somehow it turned into somebody was going to take the minutes. So the answer is a little, but I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I
I'm
had
not-
seen a job posting or something.
What I'm talking about is not necessarily looking for Melissa to do it.
Oh, okay. I thought if it's contracts and bids and
Oh,
stuff.
for us to decide what went in it, yeah, have someone else manage it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's when you don't have the contract and you're working with a company that has, everyone else has a contract and they have to fulfill that, who do they let go when there's a week of rain and they only have one sunny day to do work? And
Right.
I'm not gonna, in this COVID year, it's been impossible to, people don't have employees or they're overbooked. It's just been really hard for all of the contractors. There's not one of them that hasn't tried to work with us. So not saying anything negative about them, but it's been an exceptionally difficult year. So pollinator gardens update, those are on Wildflower Hill. I think I already mentioned that we had the work day with the 17 people. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like us to also try the adopt a plant, where people just pick one plant that they go and they weed that one, because those gardens are really kind of in rough shape now. Dog waste education, I think Kat covered that quite well. Winter event, that was, did we want to have a, sledding? How about if it was easy enough, because we don't have to, no offense, but I don't think we have to make a big deal about it. We just post, I don't think there's the restrictions in place right now that we would have a moonlit walk like Thanksgiving time. It's a Friday night, November's, I don't know when Thanksgiving is, but the full moon is, I think it's like the 26th of November.
Oh,
And just say we're going out there. I mean, I don't even know if we have to have sign up for COVID. Maybe we do.
well, yeah, last time I think the reason we had sign up was because of COVID, right? That we had to limit numbers.
Well,
Right.
you got to consider also waivers if you require waivers for liability. You could have people do that. I mean, that's another, I guess you don't have to have them sign up, but it's a good best practice to have folks waive out liability.
And when you do the trail, like the different trails committee hikes, do people register and have waivers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
still, the most recent one we still did the COVID waiver. Like first of all, you don't hold the town liable for anything, and then the general liability. And then third was acknowledging that if you're exhibiting any symptoms, you're not going to show up. That's all.
So it's more there's nothing simple anymore. You can't just say, hey, come meet here at the kiosk and we'll go for a walk.
You could, Freddie, and then just have one form and have on a clipboard and have people sign their name. I mean, if it's at night, they're not going to be able to really read it. But you could just say you're waiving liability and, have a flashlight if people want to sit on the side and read it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know if anyone else is interested in doing anything. Just one more thing to make it like.
Yeah, I'm
pulling off because I don't have the energy to do that.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
The registration went really easy. If you want some help, I'm happy to. It can be very simple. Like you said, last year, we had the complication of having group size limitations. I literally posted, it takes not long to write up a quick description and have an Eventbrite go out and have people register if you want. And they can still show up if they didn't register. I mean, it's up to you. Like, I'm happy to help with that.
So
if you want to do something.
my putting it on the list was just a suggestion, not that I wanted to be the one. I mean, I wanted to offer it if the committee wanted to think about doing anything.
I really liked the that moonlit walk last year at Halloween time. So I would like to lead that if that's possible. I'm less inclined to do registration than I would be to have people like to advertise it and then have people sign a clipboard when they got there. But before I commit, I just need to know that I'm going to be, I mean, I do think I'll be around for Thanksgiving week.
When is Thanksgiving?
It's the 25th of November. And
so that would actually be.
Yeah, the full moon.
The day after.
The full moon is on November 19th, 2021. According.
Oh, I knew it was a Friday. So it's the Friday before Thanksgiving.
That's right. And that's actually a little.
Oh. Okay, so if it's the Friday before, I'm just less, I might be on my drive back from North Carolina then. I don't know if I'll be back, so I'm a little hesitant to.
So it's not the end of November. I'm just throwing this out as an idea, only if people were excited about it. If it's a chore, then that's no good. We have other chores to do.
Right.
So maybe
Right.
with all the dog waste and everything else, best, and Joyce's uncertainty, nothing wrong with a spring full moon hike, right?
Right. Right.
So.
Or a different
I just
winter.
want us to do something fun. Another thing we thought about before was sledding, putting that sledding hill in, but we haven't gotten rid of the invasives, so that hasn't happened. The trees to crash into. I was just thinking of doing something fun because we bust our butt so much and work so hard on managing the property. It'd be nice it was fun when we did the full moon hike.
It was a lot of fun.
It was
my costume.
Oh my God,
You
your
had the
costume.
best costume.
Yeah, that's a good
love it.
costume. I hope you're wearing it again this year.
I have it. I'm not wearing it.
You don't have any, well,
Oh, you have to wear it.
I'm not going anywhere this year.
so that was it on me.
All right.
Dog waste winter event. So we can still keep winter event there if anyone's interested or excited. Like Jenny, would your kids want to do anything outdoors in the winter? Or are they tapped out with school and scouts and life?
I mean, it just, it just depends. Like we're juggling a lot, more activities these days.
Oh yeah, and the budding like activist there you've got.
Yeah, I'm her manager. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it could be something cool, but I also just, I don't know. I feel like every time of year is like a rough time of year, but like November and December, there's like a lot going on. We just have a lot going on. Scouts, holidays, all their stuff. And if we're going to do the dog waste thing, then, I would like to be able to help out with that potentially.
Let's think of something fun for January or February. How's that? And then if that doesn't work out, March or April.
If
Yeah.
there's snow, it would be fun to do one of those tracking things.
We could do a
I mean, it
snow
was fun
hike.
even without,
A what?
it was fun even without the snow with the time we did it.
Like if we knew there was snow, we could do a snowshoe hike. That would be fun.
Yep.
It used to be great. EMS, I did a few of these where they brought snowshoes. They did a snowshoe clinic so people could
Oh.
try them on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they gave, I don't think they do it anymore. And then they gave everyone a 20% off coupon. So, it was funny. I got there and this was at Chestnut Hill Farm and they go, I was the only one who knew the trails that was there, I guess. And they said, so you're leading the hike? And I go, I've never been on snowshoes before. And I had such the best time. I went out and bought a pair. It was so much fun. And there's great value in people who've never done it.
Yeah.
Getting the opportunity to do it with a friendly group. But I don't know if anyone does that anymore. They came, they brought
So I thought that was
snowshoes.
their whole business model, that they did all those classes
They've been bought
at
out.
EMS.
They're lucky to have a
Oh.
business, I think. I forget who owns them. But I don't know that they don't do it, but they stopped doing it years ago when the next time I asked them. We had a couple of them. We had one at the Beals Preserve also. And I got to bring my own snowshoes because I bought them the year before. But I'd like the idea of us doing something fun. Then it makes what we're doing seem more worthwhile and not just like, it always seems worthwhile when we get a group of volunteers out. I have to say the last one we were there, Jenny, you were there. And people were singing and dancing. And I mean, it was just like, I thought it was a lot of fun. People who had just met, like there's some value in that, like building community around outdoor events.
Yeah.
So, and that was work. So just think how much fun would be.
Well, yeah, and I think back of the fun we had with helping with the installation at Town Forest last April, and Kat with her fancy cart with all the tools in it. I went and bought that cart, Kat.
Oh, good. Do you love it?
I do. I do.
too.
We
love
need one for our shed.
Oh,
And- oh,
Yeah.
And just when I want to be clear, when we talk about using the shed near Beecology, that's also closer to up and back, like with clippers. because I'm not, we have some clippers, but I'm not leaving them in the shed because they'll disappear. And
Yeah.
the, so it's not just for Beecology, but a lot of work does happen at Beecology.
Yeah. And maybe when we're there this weekend, Freddie, we can also be thinking about potential location, and then can get in front of Concom to get some whatever we need to get that approval. And actually, while we're still on, I know it's getting to be 9 o'clock. I'd like now, I mean, I feel like I just haven't, and I apologize that my life circumstance have really made it just really hard for me to do anything beyond focus on my brother and his estate. But I feel like I'm managing that all a little bit better right now, this many weeks out from his passing. And I'd like to keep up the momentum with another meeting before too long. So I don't know if it's feasible to look at your calendars a couple of weeks out already, so we can get something on the books, because we have so many wonderful ideas and things in the works, and being able to not have too much time pass before the next meeting, because, and especially knowing if we want to get this shed, we're going to have to get some approvals from Concom and stuff, and that can all take time and whatnot. So I don't know if people are equipped right in this moment to pin down if someone has a calendar in front of them, like what would be is Wednesday generally a good day for people?
Generally good for me. I can't do Wednesday the 17th or Tuesday the 16th out of the gate. So I've got a trails and a master plan committee meeting, but otherwise I'm free for everything else.
So the week before that, Jeff is traveling, so that is out for me. What about Monday, the 15th?
I can do that.
I hate to be a bummer. I don't know where, Mondays are Concom night, planning board nights, and there's a lot of projects I have to attend planning board for open space commission. So I don't know when they're scheduled. I hate to be that way.
Do you want us to check right now?
I don't know when they're scheduled.
Well, we can look it up.
You mean you don't know when the projects will come up at which planning board? Is that what you mean, Freddie?
I don't know when planning board meetings are scheduled, and I don't know when these projects are coming up on the planning board.
Got it.
I didn't realize they posted ahead of time.
Oh, are they not on a schedule?
I've not found them to be as easy to figure out as Conservation Commission.
Okay.
They may be on a schedule, but it fluctuates. And then they'll hold extra meetings because somebody comes in and needs an extra, it's a little bit different. I can find out.
Okay, well, I'll send an email hopefully over the next couple of days.
I'm really
with
not
some
available.
potential-
I'm not available the first 2 weeks for the most part.
2 weeks of November, first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, and
I think.
I think I can do the third week of November, which would be the week before Thanksgiving, as long as it's not the days I'm driving back to Massachusetts, because I just be a lot harder to.
So the third week of November is, that's this week that we're talking about, the 15th to the 19th. So I think Monday is the only day that's left. If it's not a planning board meeting, because Kat said not Tuesday or Wednesday, and Thursday is Concom.
Well, I will say, if on Wednesday, the 17th, our master plan starts at 7. So we've done that once before. I hate to be the dictator or the reason we do that, but if we had like a 5 o'clock meeting or something, then that would give us 2 hours, if that would work for the group, if that worked for everybody else, as a workaround to open up another day.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll find
that
out
just
about the
makes-
15th.
Yeah, and that makes for a lot of back-to-back for you, Kat, which is,
Yeah.
but
Don't
thank
care.
you for that.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Hey, there's another
Oh,
agenda
okay.
item that didn't make, it's under Breakneck Hill Planning, but it didn't make it as a bullet point, so we still can talk
Oh.
about it.
What's
And it
that?
needs to be addressed. The encroachment. It's a big problem.
Oh, yes, thank you,
I guess that
Freddie.
comes under
was
Mo. So,
Yeah, that was an oversight that I didn't include it. So I understand that there's tire tracks and someone's been bringing a trailer on mowing behind one of the houses along Woodland Road into the conservation land.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
so behind the fences of the homes is a huge area. I sent pictures. It's mowed, a big area of conservation land that's mowed. And then when it stops being mowed and it's meadow, although it's meadow and no trees, there are tree limbs there, which suggests someone's dumping yard waste there. And then last summer, there were times we said, because the DPW took over mowing, and it's like some of the trails were barely mowed wide. And then you get up to the summit area and it's like, why is it like an airplane runway up here? Huge wide swaths mowed. And then do you know the little, I call it the secret garden. It goes off to the, what letter is that?
Okay, I thought.
Well, H goes down the hill. It's the one, a little one to the side, and it's a little half circle. The trail on the side of it is 15 feet wide. And the habitat in the middle is a narrow, it used to be a, significant little semicircle in there. And now it's this little narrow strip because you've got these huge paths on each side. And then there's just some other areas, and it just was very odd. But we also noticed going up from where behind the homes was mowed, you could see track, like the mowing. So whatever was mowing behind the houses came up the hill and was mowing. So it seems no evidence, but it seems like whoever's mowing behind the homes is also mowing more of the conservation land trails.
Yeah.
Is a
It's
potential.
too bad Melissa wasn't able to administer our call because we could alert her, but
I think she needs a
you
site
already
walk.
had,
I
yeah.
was thinking some of the things that could be done is a letter, but not from us, or how they put, if they don't want motorized vehicles going down a road, a trailway, they put like a metal post in the middle.
Yeah.
If this is going to be that bad, and then also I was thinking there's one area where it looks like a huge compost pile. I don't know if it's on our land or their land, where the boundaries are. I'm not sure, but it's a significant problem when someone takes it upon themselves to mow down conservation land.
Yeah, so I don't know if Melissa would be willing to go out on a Saturday with us, but certainly I can
Sunday.
alert her to that. I can alert her and ask her to, what options she sees, because I don't know if we know which abutter it is, though I have a pretty good idea.
Well, one of them did it before and actually mowed a trail.
Right.
And then maybe it's inviting them for a conversation.
Maybe they want to be a volunteer.
Maybe we don't want volunteers who make up their own mind where to mow without talking to people, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it's not about volunteering, it's about, their their area.
Right, right. But if we could leverage their motivation to our benefit.
I like your positive spin.
You haven't run into,
Okay, I'll talk it, I'll take
maybe
a
it's
look when I'm out
signage,
there.
you know?
Yeah,
No.
signage, metal posts, or it's just, hopefully it's just education. Like, hey, you can't do that. Stop.
Well, I would hope
Um,
to catch interest, and there might be some volunteering already happening. Who knows? There can be a conversation and communication and friendliness.
yeah, I think certainly communication and education before metal posts and signage and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't trying to say that was the first go-to, but at least
Oh,
one of
yeah, I
them,
didn't interpret it. Yeah.
and at least one of them's been down this road before. You don't
Yeah.
know which property owner it is because it's two homes. I don't think
Right.
somebody's coming from somewhere else and mowing behind those two homes. I think it's, with no
Yeah,
evidence.
it's someone in one of those two homes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there any other topics to be brought up tonight? I'll follow up on the next meeting. And I flagged a couple things for my follow-up as well. All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
So
I
move.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I'm
All
in favor.
I'm in
Okay,
favor.
Kat,
Yes.
Bella,
Bella jumped off. She left a message at 8:30. She wasn't quite feeling well, so she
okay.
she had to leave.
Okay, I missed that. All right, the motion passes and I'll be following up on a couple of dates. Hopefully maybe that 15th will work. Thanks, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be on camera. I don't know why.
Thank you, and good luck with your efforts there.
Oh,
Thank you.
I think I speak for the whole committee, Joyce. There is nothing to apologize about in
Thank you.
your situation in not being as involved as you have been in the past,
Mhm.
because you still have stayed on top of things. So, and
Absolutely.
on top of that, life happens and family first.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. It's honestly, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And
Oh.
people are still showing up at my brother's house who didn't know he passed. And
Oh.
that's just,
You can stop recording and we don't have to end. We adjourn the meeting.
yeah, it's just heartbreaking when that happens. And Freddie, when you were calling me earlier, someone had called me because he had just found out that my brother died because he had been texting him, and we have my brother's phone. So my sister answered his text and said, "Gee, you should call David's sister because he's passed." And it's just,
Oh, so sorry.
yeah, it's just really hard. Just really, really hard
Yeah, you keep getting
figuring out.
socked with it, huh?
Yeah, my family's had a lot of loss the last couple of years, and I've never been, had to deal with estate stuff before because my other brother, everything was left to his wife, and so she dealt with everything, and my mother, everything was left to her husband, and
Yeah.
this time it's my sister and I, because that's all that's left. Everything is now on our plates. So it's just a lot to go through someone's house who had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll get through it because I have to, but thank you. Thank you for your kindness.
Mhm.
And I look forward to seeing, I hope some of you this weekend on Breakneck Hill. That'll be a really nice nice break for me.
Yeah.
So that's Saturday at 10:30, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you want to ask him, is he sure he wants to go in the rain?
Yeah.
Can you just, if you're, who's in touch with him? Do we want to confirm?
I am.
Because Sunday's not
he had-
raining.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he's got lined up other kids though.
Okay. I was just curious, is that
Um,
rain or shine? Because I think your and my walking stuff is in not rain, but I'll go at 10:30 and maybe it won't be raining till later. Maybe it won't
Oh.
rain at all.
That's good to be positive. We've still got a few days for things to change.
Okay, I just texted him. I think it's supposed to be rainy Saturday. Is your work rain or shine? And we'll see if he replies. So I'll be in touch on that.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay, you guys, I have a 5:15 a.m. flight that I have to drive an hour to, so I'm gonna hang up
God.
and get myself. It's not that easy to get here where I am in North Carolina.
I know all
Cat
about
knows because
I know all about that.
Cat's from right around the corner, I learned from where I am. It's such a beautiful place, Cat.
Yeah.
Wait, so where are you? Because Jeff is from North Carolina too.
So I am in Morehead City.
Morehead City. Okay.
Where's Jeff
And
from?
Chapel Hill.
Okay.
so I'm coastal North Carolina. And Kat, if I remember correctly, you are from Bellhaven.
Correct. And it's a straight line to Raleigh, Durham, 2.5 hours west. Like we're
Oh.
2.5 hours east of Raleigh, Durham.
Are you near Wilmington? No, you're not,
North.
because you're saying you have an hour to get to, I assume, Wilmington.
No, I'm flying out of New Bern,
Oh,
which is where Pepsi was invented. And I think Bellhaven is north of me, right?
Correct.
Right,
Yeah,
Kat?
that's right. Yeah. And Bellhaven's about an hour away from New Bern. About
That's
an
me.
hour. Okay. Safe travels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with that flight. And everything else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And so Nathaniel says the work is rain or shine.
Okay.
I have a
Well,
nice
we know.
raincoat.
Oh, is that Kat's costume that you just
No.
sent?
It's my sister's, but it made me think of Kat.
Oh, awesome. Kate.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
that is awesome.
Now that I can tell you, she texted, she goes, oh, she's such a goober doing videos, because she was telling everyone to be quiet so she could take the video, but she was recording. You could tell we're related, right? Hey, everyone, be quiet so I can take a video.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't that an awesome? And I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see it, but they're like, oh, no, it was another picture she sent, but they're like at the full moon rising, ocean edge. Oh, there's the moon at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
If you want paddle boarding.
Yeah.
I want one of those.
That's-
Who doesn't? Anyhow, thank
Yeah.
you, Joyce. We all love you.
Thank you. Yeah. See you guys in a couple of days. See some of